It's Scott Newcomb with Zendy AI, and welcome to the Systems Are Sexy podcast. I am joined by Heather Gustafson. She is the founder and president of Franklin Rose Companies. It's a strategic advisory firm, help guide billions in real estate sales and development strategy. A journey from executive leadership in large organizations to launching her own multifaceted firm is packed with lessons on scaling smart, taking your time and using systems that actually create freedom. So, welcome to the show, Heather. How are you? Let's kind of start with something I mentioned about a lot of organizations, because I know you had some leadership positions. You were at Compass and some other top firms. What was the vision for starting Franklin Rose, and how has that evolved over time?
Yeah, I think with every position that I've been in, there's been great growth and certainly something to take away, whether it's the systems, the relationships, the skills. There's always something. Compass was certainly a great training ground. I think, at the end of the day, I wanted to do what I know how to do very well. It's one of the only things I know how to do very well. And that is looking at sites, potential construction sites, hoping to determine highest and best use for that site, going through all of the steps that it takes to bring that vision to life, which is obviously very detailed and multifaceted. I wanted to do that and do it in a way that was very simple, where decisions could be made very, very quickly, where resources that were necessary to bring a project in quickly. And, the end of the day, Compass or
You had mentioned, because when we spoke earlier, you had mentioned about our own business isn't just about working 10 times harder, it's about being smarter. And I'm wondering, what systems or frameworks have made the biggest difference for you?
I will say, winging it, going with it without systems is a recipe for working or not smarter, whether it's within a large scale corporation, certainly as you're developing a business. And so, when I launched Franklin Rose and thought about the services that I wanted to bring efficiently and effectively and hopefully at scale, from some of the systems I had used, then researched and brought others into the mix. Um, I'm happy to run through, and I should know an influencer for any of these systems at all. I'm not getting anything for this, but I do like them, and they do help me run efficiently and not work hours of the night, Scott. So I think a single source for tasks and priorities is really important. So whether it's Asana, which is super good for structured workflows, or like ClickUp, something like that. But I like Asana. We're using Asana right now. It's great for keeping your to-do lists, making comments so collaborators can see where you are in tasks. It allows you to assign if there's other, employees or 1099s too. So I like Asana for kind of a single source of truth for, for tasks and priorities. Um, I think a system where you are keeping documents is huge. Might sound like, well, of course, everyone's doing that, but it's interesting because I do see organizations, everyone documents in their own space, and it's not really great for like team and storage. I love Dropbox. I'm a Dropbox fanatic. Keep everything in Dropbox. Can with clients, you can make client folders. So if a client's not paying assistant, like it's in the Dropbox really, really well for us. Do you think calendaring and blocking is like one of my big secrets? I calendar and time block for just about everything. So time block for like deep work. I realize that in the morning, I'm really creative and getting things done is the right time. I think it is for many, but time blocking so you don't get stuck on emails or phone call or whatever the case might be. Time blocking self-care knows that if I have time blocked for the gym can't be touched. And it has to be sort of non-negotiable. I see a lot of people and they'll block time for themselves. And but if something else comes up, I treat that as like an absolute priority meeting. Otherwise, it's really easy to make excuses and not get to the gym and take care of yourself. Time blocking, prioritizing, taking time for your deep thought best is huge for me. And I really try not to deviate from that really at all, ever. You're starting up a business and something that many don't have to do when you're working for a big corporation, unless you're running now, which is even different than running all of the finances for a business. So, I quickly got on QuickBooks, industry standard. It's super accountant friendly, and everything that the business does is in and out of QuickBooks. No question around what's going out, and it's super organized. So there's a gusto if you need payroll and other systems, but QuickBooks, all the are pretty comfortable with. So I do think a CRM is huge. You probably have a CRM if your own company. Where do all those names go from the networking event or the webinar that you sit on? All of the networking so I think getting a good CRM, something that's like really clean, really simple to use, you're actually going to use. We're using Spark because it allows me to keep all of the functionality that I need for our project. So it's sort of a two-in-one. But I know there's, HubSpot and Drive and other CRMs, but I think important. What else? I think for communication, having a set communication tool is great, whether you're going to use Zoom or Google Meet. And knowing that that's just what you use for your invites, that way you're not kind of like systems like, here's my calendar, here's my link to my calendar, and it is linked to Google Meet or Zoom, whichever you prefer. I think it important. Um, all I can think of finding the right business bank. Scott, you wouldn't imagine, but like some banks the platforms are just more business friendly than others. Their dashboard and their business dashboard and the folks I have.
Most of what you mentioned, we use too. So you're on the right track there. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I use Slack a lot. I don't know if depending on the size of your team, I think that's important. Yeah, I think, what you like having a Calendly link and making sure it jives with your times, but also sticking with one, whether it's Google Meet or Zoom, I think is important because there's like the tech stack can get out of control if you don't really rein it in.
It can, and it feels like there's a new solution like coming at you. All that Instagram feed must know that I'm a junkie for these things and for productivity and my life more simple, something to investigate. And now that we layer AI into that, there's even more. You mentioned calendaring. Something that I forgot to mention was Calendar Bridge. One of my big conundrums was I have clients who want to use their calendar. So like let's say an Outlook calendar. And I want that to communicate with my Gmail calendar and with my family calendar. And all of a sudden, my daughter's ballet coach's calendar, all of a sudden I have like calendars and checking those is virtually impossible, even if you have, and we'll get into this in a second, even if you have like an absolute rock star assistant, like tricky. So you want those calendars speaking to one another. I talked with a couple of other founders about this and no one had a great solution. And then I discovered Calendar. And now a few of us who are founders are using it and it allows you to plug in like 14 calendars or something and they communicate. So if you go to any of them, you can what's happening in one calendar.
Good to know. To talk about your company, you guys advise and work on projects, short-term rentals, real estate, investment opportunities. Can you kind of maybe give us an overview of what problem you guys solve?
Absolutely. Franklin Rose Real Estate Advisors was founded to advise real estate developers, family offices, and anyone who's participating in a large-scale real estate development. So if you're a real estate and you're maybe not quite ready to hire a sales team and you don't have um, an in-house head of sales, let's say, but you really are looking for that functionality. Come in and can really do that fractionally. So maybe you're not wanting to hire a true head of someone to go through planning and design with you, review floor plans, amenity programming, really value near any of the finishes, really come up with a product that is going to, at the end of the day, for the market from a planning perspective. So we and are very, very experienced in that space and help with pricing. Example, right now, we're looking at a building. We're in a really hitting market in sort of the Southeast. The question, of course, comes size units. Is this market looking for? What price per square foot do they want to be? How small do they want? Well, really, in a very data-driven way on that. And of course, you layer in your gut when you go market as well. But that should really be very much data-driven. What's the market looking for? successful, what hasn't been successful. Besides planning and design and reviewing data and pricing, involved with, and this is one of my favorite, is the marketing aspect. So, a building, a project, a development wants to have a brand. Who is the project speaking to? Who's the target audience? What does the language need to look like? Down to what does the font and the need to look like? And then creating really beautiful a digital brochure, a website, branded floor plans, all of the things that are very, very comfortable in the PR space. So writing press releases, getting projects out there both locally and nationally. After marketing, there's sales operations, right? So sales, all of that is for nothing. So I have experience in leading sales teams, providing with the tools that they need to sell projects, them engaged and communicating with our client with ownership about how the project's going. And then, from a family office perspective, that's really kind of two-sided. One is I love making the in between family office and sponsor and really helping to raise the equity that is needed to get a project off the ground. Consulted with offices who are looking and getting involved in projects. They want an independent set of eyes to the project at the location and to determine if it's ultimately, if it seems feasible. That's the consulting piece. There we're getting in investing on the equity side of projects. I think there's a lot of exciting things happening out there in this space. So that's really the base of what we're doing. I think the need that we're filling, there are companies that are truly bound to using their sales team if they're offering this service. So if a developer found to us.
How are they finding you? Is it relationships you had at your previous companies, or are you doing some type of lead generation now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, and I've been really fortunate from past relationship, word of mouth. I'm not doing any lead or advertising. That's not we want, but I love the idea of having joint success with people who I've worked with over the years or friends of friends, that sort of thing. My very client, incidentally, was my first client when we came into the Nashville at 8 or so. So we've been a lot of ups and downs together. We know each other work. And I think at the end of the day, those really
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah, I know we spoke earlier. You had mentioned about the AI meetup. I'm wondering, how do you see AI affecting your guys' business and for real estate developers over the next few years?
Yeah. I'm part of I kind of brains bringing together individuals who have found great aspects of their business. Everyone is in real estate. A lot of are, but it's fun to hear from and learn from everyone's collective experience. I think it feels like everyone sort of has Chat GPT open on their desktop now and is using it to get maybe 70% there. I don't think AI gets you 100% anywhere right now. I think it gets you maybe, and then using your expertise and fine details on the specific topic. I do think it can cut down on time, right? When you're copywriting, let's say, we don't feel like it was spit out by AI, but again, it gives you 70%, and then you fine tune it, which is what human expert needs to do, I think, today, chat gbt or something else. But there, there's AI being developed for every business, from real estate, construction, architecture, that's not quite a if you're rehabbing a building and want to see what it's like the before and after, like, it is light years from where it was. When you talk about create renderings for pre-sales, we have a couple great groups who we've worked with over the years that can create renderings of expensive $2,000 a rendering. There are systems now descriptive can whip up a pretty good rendering. Again, it's not 100% there, but pretty good. So I see a lot of this evolving and better. And I think really, we're leaning into it, right? We're leaning into all the tools, all the tech, something great out there. I want to know about it. I want to try it, and much until it, are going to.
Absolutely. Could wave a magic wand and maybe automate one part of your business that you don't have right now. Have you thought about what that would be?
Wow. I had this conundrum, like a true conundrum. Like, I need to automate my scheduling. I need someone to pick up some of the things that I either don't have time or I do have time for, I could be using my extra, sort of higher level income producing activities. And I got an assistant, that was my very, very favorite high point, not because I love all of our team members. I think everyone is adding but like this person allows me to interact with my clients more, frees up time so that my time blocking is on, it's not negotiable. And she'll remind me of that. There's a count there like, hey, we haven't set up your trainer for the week. When do you want to go? Like, okay, like that's my very favorite thing, and that's like, is the greatest. So that's really important. But if I had to make something that I'm not automating right now, if figured out, it would probably be like a roll of things. There's still some like even if QuickBooks, there still is a categorization that needs to take. I still do need to review invoices. And so I think that's the piece I don't love and would love to automate.
It's into a neither. That's why I get a bookkeeper. Have you ever thought about doing that? Okay. Two more questions. I want to know a lot of the goal of the podcast is really to teach people, hey, like I left a company, I'm going to go out on my own, or 0 to 1. Like, what advice would you give someone that's contemplating where you were years ago to get where you are now? Like, what are the first steps they need to think about?
Yeah, I mean, I think making sure that financially you're sound so that you have a really good runway. I think that runway is different for everybody. That runway could be 6 months. If I don't make any money for 6 months, I'm okay. It could be a year, like whatever you can tolerate, whatever that is. So I think you have financial runway personally. And then looking at a runway for setting up the systems within the business. Like you don't just open a business and it has no overhead or expenses. I brought in wonderful assistant. I brought in someone who's an expert in real estate data. Like that's not inexpensive. I have a contract to close paralegal who really is our director of legal, and that's also necessary for me to have a planning and design architect corner so that when we're running through plans, she's able to draw that out very effectively and communicate. All those things really important and they aren't free. So I think, in the systems that we talked about early on, there's subscriptions that come with all of those, whether it's DocuSign, which I didn't mention, but I love DocuSign, or Dropbox, or all those systems come with subscriptions and they add up. So understanding what's going to cost, even if you're not brick and mortar, from your living room and to go all in, there are going to be costs. You've got to figure out what those are. You've got to make sure that you have money set aside, investor, something set aside so they're able to do it right way. I would think about who's going to be your board of directors, right? Like who are going to be the people who you call on when there's a tough moment, because there will be, or when there's a tough decision, or there's something that pops up and gosh, who can I consult on that? So I have it's an informal at this point, but a board of folks who I can go to and bounce ideas off of and consult with. So I think knowing who those people are is very important as you think through all of this. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you're sick of corporate or because you don't like your boss or because you were laid off or why are you doing it? Uh, and the why I think has to be really positive. It has to feel like it's going to drive you on those tough days. And having your why, your North Star, I think is very, very important. For me, my why was I know that this be done in a more nimble way that at the end of the day is better for the client and the project. My personal why was I need to have flexibility to work from it. I will get it done. I don't care if I'm in London. I don't care if I'm in Paris. I don't care where I'm if it means taking a call in the middle of the night, local time. She's pursuing a career in ballet and she's one of my whys. I need to be able to with her and also fulfill my career.
The why in the board of directors, it's hard to find those people, but if you can, God, it makes such a difference in the day. Question I was just going to ask you, if you want to learn more about you and your company, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think I'm always open to talking real estate. I'm always open to speaking with new founders, whether it's in the real estate space or I have a fantastic business coach named Sarah, a company called Her Big Leap. It's all about women leaving corporate and going through their own business, be to make it her or anyone in my cohort there. So do not be shy to reach out. I'm always happy to chat. You can really easily email me at me accessible.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Heather. I really appreciate the time today.